we'll have this discussion.
Discussion? What discussion?
This is a discussion combustion.
Coming to you from Denver, Colorado.
This is Discussion Combustion Podcast with your hosts, Kevin Batstone and Arthur Raw.
Good to be back, bro. Thank you guys so much. Salud.
We've done this episode 232, and I think this is the first time that I can recall in Discussion Combustion history that someone has showed up in NASCAR gear other than myself. So already starting off with good energy. I'm excited. We got the NASCAR Championship this weekend. Everyone knows I'm going to be there for Match the Gas podcast, and I love it. The energy is fantastic.
Thank you.
Stoked to have you here, brother.
It's a blessing to be back here, man. I was really hoping to see you guys again because I've just seen all of us grow from where we started, and you know, to now. It's just, though we may not be at like that end goal finish line where we want to be at, we still have made a lot of changes in our own lives and in our own careers, and it's just been a blessing to see the journey and live through the struggle. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, man.
That's what I'm feeling. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a battle, just like a race. You know, we just cracked into the top 10. You know, we're in the top 10. We're moving up, and if we're using racing terms here,
absolutely,
we're not done. This race ain't over. We still got laps to run.
Absolutely, it's still a long way to go.
It's
a
man.
long way to go.
But it's good to see you're still sticking with it. Good to see you growing. You know, your content's great. Still got to get out and see one of your shows, man.
Absolutely,
that's on the list.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna have more shows. Like right now, I'm in the pit stop. You know, I'm just rebuilding, fueling up, getting all my gear ready, just making sure everything is up to par and making sure, I'm starting to learn guitar, so I'm trying to make sure I'm putting everything in my arsenal.
You've been doing that for like several months now, though, right?
Yeah, it's been I think approximately like 9 months, close to a year.
Okay.
So I've just been picking it up, but the calluses is coming in, so we're going on the right way, so.
Yeah, mine come and go. When I play with the Ridge Runners, I had these thick things on there. Now when I play, I go 30 minutes and they're bleeding.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
What's your axe? What's your axe of choice?
So I wanted to. At first, I started cheap. I started with like an Epiphone. It was like one of those cheap model SGs. But then I kind of moved up to the more moderate pricing ones. So I got in. It was the Epiphone, the Les Paul model. Nice. It's got that gold. It looks beautiful. Yeah, I just saw a Slash playing it, and I was like, when I was a kid. So like I saw that guitar, and it gave me a flashback of seeing that guitar, and I was like, I kind of want that guitar, and I just like how it's heavy. I don't know. It just feels nice. Yeah.
It's I like to describe it to people. It's like the Mercury to Ford of Epiphone to Gibson, right? They're kind of like same part, same kind of thing, but they call it something different.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely has that like expensive feel, but it doesn't break the bank. I think that's the best way to do it. I do want to move into more of a Fender, just because I want to start learning how to bend, and just use a whammy bar and start tapping a lot more with the smoother fretboard. Because with this one, it's a little bit too squared. It's still smooth, but it just gives me a Beach Boy sound right now, and I'm trying to get a little bit more into the metal. So
now, I don't know if we asked you this last time, but what's your favorite instrument?
My favorite instrument?
Yeah. Is it like...
It's guitar.
I think it's the guitar.
Like ever since I was a kid.
So electric or acoustic?
Electric.
Okay.
Electric. I just because for me, I kind of have a weird, awkward hand positioning. Okay. To where I've just been really struggling with the neck of acoustic or a classical guitar, and I just don't have the technique for like the proper chord placements.
Don't you have to like squeeze harder on an acoustic to really get that rich sound?
I like how forgiving electric guitar is, because if you mess up on an acoustic, everyone in the room's gonna hear it, not just you.
That's a good point, and it's noticeable.
It is.
The guys will come over and we'll twist one up or whatever, and I'll play some Tom Petty, and I'll hit that wrong chord, and it's like, oh, that wasn't right. That doesn't sound right.
Exactly.
You can cover up a lot with distortion and stuff like that, but you kind of got that Joe Satriani reach.
Yeah. So it's just kind of like. It's just been a long time to just build these. Like I just remember how cramped up my hand would get, but it's just fighting through the pain,
The mitts.
Exactly. Exactly.
So do you play piano too or anything else like that?
I do not, but I have touched base in it when I'm doing production with because I know my producer. Shout out to B-Boy.
B-Boy.
B-Boy. He couldn't be here, but. Yeah, shout out to him, but he has his little mini keyboard, and when we make beats together and stuff, he'll let me play with it, and I can see the similarities between the guitar and the piano with the same kind of just patterns that it's just been. The scales, I'd say.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
A lot of it's easy to transpose. Well, I say easy. Easy for some people to transpose. Like Zakk Wylde, who's, in my opinion, one of the greatest guitar players of all time, writes a lot of his music first on a piano, and then will transpose it to a guitar riff. Or just sometimes the other way. He's able to hear it and just figure out which way to go back and forth. I feel like if you can play guitar and piano, you've kind of mastered music creation.
Yeah, you got it down.
Absolutely.
You do got it down at that point.
It's a little bit of a struggle. I hate learning other people's songs, but I love making my own riffs. I just love plucking away. Like I'll find myself in my room with my broken guitar, my red one, and I'm just plucking away, trying to find different things different little notes and chimes that'll sound good, and I just implement that in the production and in my tracking in my songs and sampling my own guitar riffs instead of borrowing somebody else's. So I'm kind of using that creative process. I know that sounds cheating, and a lot of guitarists are gonna get pissed off when they hear that, but that's just how I've been learning and like trying to stay original and creative.
Yeah.
You know.
I feel like a lot of us do that as guitar players. I remember when I started writing songs with the Ridge Runners, not that I would copy per se, but I would get inspired by a chord progression and on a strum pattern, right? Like 120 tempo, let's go with a G, C, D progression, something like that. And then people are like, well, that kind of sounds like that one song. It's like, well, a lot of songs sound like that one song, right? I mean, Metallica tried to copyright the C chord, right? And that's just not going to happen. I mean, you need a C chord. I mean, it's crucial.
Yeah, absolutely. D's, C's, E's, everything. You need it all. You need it all.
Yeah, there's only so many notes on a guitar, so eventually it's going to get repetitive, and you can just get creative with how you do it, I guess. All you can really change is the tuning and the tempo.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I feel like being around the Danny Del Reals, the Israels, and AGM,
It's all lads.
All y'all are great, but I've been getting re-motivated and a little bit re-hyped up, like finding my muse again. So I went in and I purchased the MIDI, the mic, all the stuff so I could record vocals. I already got the software to do it. And I'm listening to this conversation. I'm part of this conversation too, obviously, but I'm listening to it. And I'm just getting all Jonesy over here.
Yeah.
So one thing as like a beat maker or, an artist, right, a musician, is one thing I wish I could always have done is take a hum and just transcribe that into like notes and keys and shit. Like, because sometimes I'll come up with these hot little riffs in my head, like a little hum.
Yeah.
And if I could just put that onto a guitar or like a keyboard, I think that would be the first wish I would have from a genie if I rubbed that lamp hard enough.
The best way to start off with that is humming, finding that cadence, and translating that into words first. Once you translate that into words, then you can find that through you kind of got to hear it. It's kind of like that magic touch that's you can't really be taught, but you kind of just have to learn how to translate from words, and then from there it'll fall down into the instrument, because then you start knowing with those words you're able to fine tune what you want to hear on the notes. Like for example, if you want to go la di da di da, you'll just try to translate that. It'll sound good with whatever effect that you put onto, and then you'll just find it on the guitar. If you want to go on a higher pitch, if you want to go on a lower pitch, it's just like you kind of just have to hear it. I don't know how to really explain it, but you just kind of have to hear it and experiment.
The process of actually making music is fun though. It's
absolutely.
I haven't made a beat in probably, I don't know, maybe 10 years or something.
I was gonna say before we started this project.
Yeah, it's been a while. But there's something about like when you're making an instrumental and you have everything that all aligns, and then you add that one thing that's been missing, and then like the first time you play that back and you just like, oh, that shit's knocking, and then like people, there's something about that feeling about creating that is just so fun. And I'm looking forward to that, and also getting frustrated with like, I'm so sick of hearing this. I've been listening to this beat for hours tonight already. You know how it goes, man.
Absolutely.
When you're in the studio, like you spend so much time.
Yeah, I spend a lot of my time, like I mentioned before in the last episode that we had. Like I mentioned, I do focus more on like the songwriting part and the structure of the lyrics, because I'm a songwriter. Like I'm not full on producer. I just co-produce with my guitar. Yeah. But but when I see B-Boy cooking it up, he's very organized in what he does and his patterns, finding the melody, and finding in the drum patterns, the kicks, and then after that he gets the bass line, and then that's when he starts finalizing and putting in the cherries on top. But sometimes even before we put on the cherries on top, then that's when I'll go in and see how my vocals are going to sound, to see if it matches the beat, and if the notes that I'm singing are correct to complement.
Do y'all build the beats based on the lyrics, or are you doing the lyrics based on the beat?
The lyrics based on the beat.
Okay, so I've only made one. I only made one instrumental where I built there was two. Two tracks where I built the instrumental off of the lyrics that I already had written. And it was just an interesting, out of like 90 songs or 100 songs, whatever, like only two were done that way. So it's kind of fun because how you make music, how you create music, there's no specific way. Like you can get to the MP3 1,000 different ways, and that's what's kind of fun about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's all trial and error. I think that's the best way to say it. Like if I were to give any advice to anybody, it's just mess up.
Yeah.
Because through your mistakes, you're able to basically review and revise everything that you kind of did, and then you just make it better each and every single way. You know, like I was just talking to the boy Zombie here, like you don't be afraid to mess up. Like I think that's where people get lost and they get stuck in writer's block, is when they overthink everything. Like you're supposed to mess up. You're supposed to write shitty songs. You're supposed to that's how you learn, you know. That's the best way to learn, is just by messing up, and it doesn't even have to be in music, you know. Like you just gotta,
that's too true.
It's very true. That's how I feel about cooking. When I got into cooking, I fucked up so much shit, and now it's like, I'm not saying I'm a chef over here, but I like to cook. Yeah, you know, it's a hobby.
Absolutely. The first time when you bought a smoker and you made ribs, you messed it up. It's all charred up. It just tastes way too smoky. It's probably burnt and overcooked. But then you start learning the importance of temperatures, the importance of seasoning prior, having that seasoning, what is it, like either Dijon mustard or barbecue sauce as a binder. Binder. Yep. You know, you just gotta. That's how you basically got to do, is just trial and error. You're basically a scientist.
Repetition's the mother of skill.
Exactly.
And that goes with everything, you know, playing guitar, writing music, all that stuff. I mean, I played with guys that were so well experienced in the music business, which was great because I learned a lot. But I would always be like, man, kind of going back to what you guys are talking about taking like a hum or a sound and transposing that. They could just listen to something and be like, all right, that is E flat in, you know, here's the key, right? And here's the chord progression. It's like, damn, how do you hear that? It's repetition. They've done it for so long, they can just hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. It becomes a second nature to them. You know what I mean? And that's what I kind of want to be at within the next decade of my life, is to be able to pick that up, because I do have a good sound, but I don't know enough music theory. I think that's something fair to say, that I just don't know.
Did you study music theory?
I did, and some of the main things that they covered in music theory were classical music. Like, you know, your Bachs, Beethovens, all those type of guys. And what was interesting that they also covered is that, like you kind of alluded to, is nothing is original. Like everything's been done in music before. You're just kind of doing it, putting different sounds together. But all those sounds have already existed, sort of stuff. So in general, that's how it is. Those were some of the more important things. And then also the storytelling. Because these symphonies that they created, you know, they would be like an hour long, and they would have people like on stage acting out to the music. So it's a great storytelling platform. And also, you know, the 4-count, like all the different like structures of music. But I mean, it's only knowledge, right? So that's one thing. As I'm maturing more, you know, I'm in my late 30s. I could say that I'm a matured man at this point, in most ways. And, you know, with that being said, it's like, it's interesting how you kind of look at knowledge differently and experiences differently, and like you prioritize differently, you know, in life, but in music or whatever you're creating as well. So to go into the music theory thing, I suppose to wrap that up in a neat bow is to, you know, try to tell a story with it, evoke some emotion, right? Yeah. You want to evoke the emotion. And that's why I feel like most people do it in that same way of writing lyrics to an instrumental, because the instrumental already, the song, the beat has the emotion. Like that's where it's coming from, and that's where we're deriving our energy to like put lyrics on top of it. Yeah. You know, so I don't know. I could go down a whole little rabbit hole there. Yeah. There's like many paths. It's like a ant farm place. You know, you go in the main hole, and then there's all these other little areas here. Yeah. Because there's a lot of, like you said it best, like the beats right there, like the resources are there already. Like back then they didn't have that, you know. Like you think Eddie Van Halen had a beat, you know. David Lee Roth didn't have a beat. They just rip it and just see what they feel, you know. And a lot of that took a lot of talent, you know. Now we just have all the resources, everything in our hands right now. It's just how do you utilize those tools, you know. The internet is huge, you know. The tracking systems, like you don't have to take out a cassette tape and then putting in another one. If you mess up, then you were screwed back then. But now it's just, we'll just replay it, you know, like let me just delete that one snare. Yeah, exactly. You know, it's a lot more technical, and all the tools are ahead of us right now. It's the only thing is that there's so many people doing it. It's just who sticks out more, and basically who can sell.
You know, I think that's the fair thing to say now. It's just a matter of who can sell. It's not really about talent anymore.
That's a good point, actually. That's a good point, because we've kind of had this conversation with a couple musicians that have been on this program in the past, and it's like, you can have a great product and like amazing songs. I mean, I've seen some amazing musicians. I mean, I think Across War that flew in for an episode and he played guitar for us over here. Incredible. But it's like, what's your biggest obstacle? Selling, marketing, social media, getting your music out there. Right, we live in a time now where so much digital marketing is crucial. Even what we do here with the podcast, we've learned the hard way. Billboards, putting our name on a race car, doesn't really yield the results you think it would.
Yeah.
It's a changing market.
You don't know until you penny up, though. You know, you got to ante up.
And so what is it? Like, how do you do it, right? Like, everyone's trying to pioneer what's the best way to get my music into people's ears. And, you know, social media is obviously a great topic, but like you said, you almost have to be a salesperson on top of being, you know, a creator, an entertainer, and a performer.
Absolutely. It's definitely, I think the best way to do it, what I've had success in for marketing, especially for my shows, for example, is showing your personality, and also not being desperate.
Yeah.
Don't be like, oh, come over here. Don't act like the dudes at the mall trying to clean your shoes. I think that's the best way to think. Show character, show respect, but at the same time, understand that not everyone is going to like your music. And especially from an artist here in Colorado, it's very safe to say that don't expect your own state to support you, because the market is going to be in other states and people that you don't know. Your fans are going to be what is a fan is a person that doesn't know you but supports you. They don't know you on a personal level. That's a fan. You know, and that's what everyone's dreaming of having. So instead of being in, because we're a population of like 400,000 here in the state of Colorado, or like 500,000. Like, it's a very small place. Everybody knows everybody. So that you already have that advantage as an artist to expand and get your name out there so people can talk about you, but it's not always going to be supporting. It's how you utilize the Instagram tools and target certain states. Before I did that music festival out in South by Southwest in Austin, you know, I was starting to put out promotions out in Austin for that show and for myself, just so people can see my face and stuff like that. Yeah. And I got recognized by like 2 people, but that was it.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, still, if it wasn't for
exactly,
if it wasn't for that work, it would have been 0 people.
No would have been known me.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
and that's that right there is a success. Like, okay, you got 2 strangers, you know, and that was a lot of fun. You know, even though there were some like other things, but we can talk about that another time.
Oh, the live events are there's always some particular things that come up.
Yeah,
our live event was wild.
Yeah, you know, and but definitely it's I think it's all about character and who you are and how you network and connect with other people and how you talk to and present yourself, because it's all a presentation.
Yeah. No, you put up some shit that had me cringing in my bones. Like the one where the dude fucking tries to jump over the back of the truck.
Oh, yeah.
And then he got his leg caught up in there. Like, I don't know why you put that out there. And so Danny's over here going on like this campaign of like if you don't come to my show, then this is gonna happen to you. And
I don't know if I saw that.
Those shit crack me up. No, those crack me up and shit. And I'm like shit. I don't know if I'm gonna go to the show, but like
it draws attention.
I hope that doesn't happen.
That's the thing about it. It's like I'm drawing attention through borderline cringe. Yeah. But at the same time, it's that stuff that's like, oh my God, why would you do that? Like, you know, it's like it'll keep them in my head.
No, and it's ridiculous. Like, you don't actually hope that someone's gonna bust their leg and shit, like, because they don't.
It's a shock factor market now.
It's funny.
You want to grab someone's attention, like, what the hell is going on here, kind of thing, right? Because everything else is pretty predictable. You know, with the TikToks and all that shit, people have seen it. They're like, all right, what else? You know, what else is there?
Yeah, so I approve of that ad campaign.
Yeah, thank you. It works because I have at least, like, when I post those things before shows and stuff, I think my viewership gets up to like 350 to 400 viewers. Yeah. And I have at least 45 to, I think the most that I got was 75 replies of people just saying, oh my God, like, why would you do that? And I think out of the 75, I was able to sell at least it was 27 tickets. And then the next day I was able to sell 15. And then I posted another one where it was that rope swing where that guy misses the water and hits the land. And I was able to sell 20 more tickets after that. Like, it was just, I made people laugh, and they're like, okay, well, like, that's the chance. That's the opportunity. Because each show that you do, it's a presentation of this is why you should. That it's basically their TED Talk. Yeah. You know, this is why you should support me or invest in me, you know. And that's just grabbing the attention. It's a marketing technique
It
that's
is.
been helpful for me, and you guys are more than welcome to use it, but it's been very effective for me. It's been very effective.
I don't know. Y'all could use it, but I don't know if you're going to do it like Del Real over here. Like this man, you know.
It's being a troll. Like, you kind of have to be a troll and feed into it, because it's going to help you when people are hating in the comments. It's
Yeah,
going to,
like,
and
who
when you
cares?
keep that comedic character in you, a lot of the bullshit that you hear, are like people trying to bring you down in the negativity. It's
I love
just,
the haters.
Exactly.
That's what's kept me going for the last 5 years.
Absolutely.
I love it.
It's amazing.
When you know, everyone wants to hate on somebody, right? It's Paul Roseberry says it the best. People are laying on the floor and they want to pull you down to lay with them. Misery loves company, that whole kind of thing. So it's like, in the world we live in now, podcasting, music, putting yourself out there, you're opening yourself up to criticism. People are going to have something to say.
Yeah,
And I look forward to it.
That's the biggest thing too, is the vulnerability. Like, I think that's what holds a lot of artists back from creativity, is vulnerability. Like, they're just not used to being exposed. I think I did say this at the last podcast, but like, being up on stage and performing is basically presenting yourself naked to everybody. That's true. Because your true emotions, it's like you're talking about your diary, you know? Like, it's that spelling bee, that nightmare spelling bee that you're naked and just trying to spell out eucalyptus to thousands, to hundreds of people, or your whole class, that people you know. But once you get over that fear of caring about what other people think, I think that's when you start to build that confidence, you know. And that's what will help you, is just don't be afraid of your own vulnerability, because your life is special and your story deserves to be heard. No matter who you are. It doesn't even have to be an artist. Like, your story deserves to be heard, and you deserve to be heard. And it's just a matter of how you want to express it.
When there's something that's like really freeing about being vulnerable and, quite frankly, not giving a fuck what other people think. To walk that is not the easiest journey. Like, to actually get to the confidence of like, I'm gonna do me and I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. That's easy to say.
Yeah.
But to actually live that, you know, I'll see you on the other side. I'll recognize you if you're over there with me, you know, because you can tell. But there's something really freeing about that, because then you break these constraints that are honestly conditioned to us. Like, as anybody who's grown up in a society, in the entire planet, regardless of culture, if you've grown up in cities, there is some sort of culturalization that happens and conditioning that happens to people growing up. Like, these are the society norms. Like, if you're not doing this by this age, then you're falling behind your peer group and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And there's like all these pressures that are technically created. And like, yes, we do need to maintain a society, earn an income, you know, give back. Like, we got to be good people. But at the same time, like, we don't got to fit the mold that this agenda that's been pushed on us through different movies and all. You know, I could go down a rabbit hole of that conversation, but once you free yourself and you realize that none of this shit matters and you're just doing it for you because right now is all I got, like sitting here in this room with all y'all, and you're doing great over there too, my man. Yeah, with all this is living right now. Like, there's nothing in my life outside of this moment.
Power of now.
Yeah, and once you start realizing that shit, then you're like, it doesn't matter.
You feel unstoppable.
I don't know.
I think also you brought up a great point, Art, because I think there's a lot of people. There's two things that I wanted to say about that whole confidence and not caring. There's a difference between a person that truly doesn't care, and there's a person that doesn't care what other people think, and they maintain what their main focus is and what their main goal is, and they want to reach that finish
somebody
line.
who does care, they're a genuine person, but they don't care what. And then people who just don't give a fuck at all.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because when you don't care about what other people think, and you're staying focused, let's say, for example, for your guys' podcast, for my career, and for his for Zombie's career, you know, we all have that focus. We don't care what anybody else thinks, because this is our dream, this is our foundation, this is what we want and to succeed. I've run across a couple of people throughout this year, you know, either out of state or in state, that just let their ego drive them, and at the same time, I wouldn't say they're not humble, because they care in some way, but they're just reckless of not caring. Like, there's a difference between a respect not caring, and then there's a difference between a reckless not caring. Because they don't respect themselves, they don't respect their environment around them, and they don't respect the people around them. But a person that has a foundation respects those that respect him or her. in their foundation, you know, and they don't care about the outside resources or whatever negativity that's coming into their world, because they're focused on what the task at hand and what they need to complete. You know, because there's just, especially in this music scene, it can be toxic.
Yeah.
Once you start getting a little bit of a buzz, you'll feel on top of the world with those 10 minutes of attention. I'm not calling it fame, I'm calling it attention.
Yeah.
It's just really difficult to find that balance, but when you truly find that balance that separates recklessness to knowing your self-worth, that's when you'll start to see your world align. I think that's the best thing, and I think that's one of the spots that I'm in right now, is that I've discovered my worth after all the struggles that I've been through this whole summer, and then now I was able to achieve certain goals that I wanted to achieve that I planned out a year ago, and now it's like I was hit with okay, am I doing too much? Then I started overthinking, am I being too cocky? Am I being too confident? And it's like yes and no.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, it's a fine line.
Exactly.
Do you want to really open up, air it out here, and say some of the struggles that you had to overcome this summer, or like one or two of them?
So
I mean, we could keep it moving too.
No, it's all good.
You know, I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
No, it's all good. You know, it's just basically. I think the best way to say it is I felt lost and I didn't know what I wanted in my life. You know,
We've all been
and
there
I
at
had to address some certain weights in my life, and I in a very mature way, you know. And when I had to let those things go, because it was things that I cared about, but it was a sacrifice. I had to make a very tough sacrifice in my life to keep moving forward on what I wanted to do, because I didn't want to hold anybody down, and I didn't want to hold myself down, and I didn't want to, you know, I didn't want it to negatively affect anybody around me, because I started to see myself going into a dark path. I just wanted to make so many people happy that were surrounding me. And I was just constantly being, you know, everywhere at every point in time. I was constantly late to everything. Like, it was just, I was living very unhealthy and not taking care of myself, and I wasn't focusing on myself and my craft, and I started hearing it in my music. I started seeing the inconsistencies of myself. But once I started to let go of the things that weren't important to me, when I stopped surrounding myself with people that weren't really benefiting me, that's when I started to seeing everything align, and I knew I made the right decision, because instead of reacting in what most people would just mourn and miss and stay in that negative dark space and let that define them, I tried my best to learn. I put faith in my manifestations into what I wanted to create, where I wanted to be at, you know. And I'm not saying I'm at that place, but I slowly started getting glimpses of it. And that was enough for me to have enough hope to see what's next to come, you know. And I think that's the best way to summarize this summer. It's just letting go of the weight that you didn't need to carry.
Yeah. I mean, I know you probably have something on this, so I'll make mine quick. But I feel like in one area where I realized that, okay, I'm an adult now, like I'm on grown man shit, is once I realized I could still love and respect people and cut them out of my life. Like family, friends, like it doesn't matter who it is. And if it's not aligning with what I need to do, what I need to accomplish, I can respectfully cut people out of my life. And I feel like once you hit that point, you know that you're on that difficult journey, you know, of like your own personal success, and you have to like make those tough decisions to get to those next levels.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of like that was some good stuff. Appreciate you opening up on that.
Thank you. Thank
Authenticity.
You.
Again, like we've been talking about, kind of the theme of, you know, really everything, just being yourself, and I think that's what people can relate to, and they like that, you know.
Absolutely.
And like you said, it transposes in your music and stuff, but I think also the self-love and the self-reflection is huge.
Absolutely.
Right? We've all had to walk that road and make decisions of, this isn't working for me. I'm going to be off alcohol here next year. You know, that's a big
Kudos
decision.
to that.
And that's been something that's been coming up for years that I've been planning for. So to your point, you know, realizing that I don't really like where I'm headed right now on this path, and having to make these changes to get to where I want to be. Not a lot of people can say that they did that and that they can do that, because a lot of folks, you know, here's my opportunity to work in one of my favorite quotes. Most people will do more to avoid pain than they will to gain pleasure, right? It's easier to be complacent and say, the hell with it. You know, this will work. This is good enough. This person's good enough, you know, and not respecting their self-worth, right? And that's what is reflected to your friends, your family, your relationships, whatever. So I think, we don't see a lot of folks that are able to look within anymore because we're so conditioned to just go home and watch Netflix and eat garbage food and drink alcohol or whatever, right? And not actually try to get more out of life.
Exactly. You know, there's more to life than just the pleasures that go around, you know, and when I hear a lot of people talking about discovering their self-worth and stuff like that. Oh, I need to go work on myself by myself and stuff like that. That's not the case. In some very rare occasions, but when you surround yourself by people that you care about, when you have those people around you that show you that support, when you feel alone, you know, those are the people that matter the most in your life and that you should show enough love. Because I think what a lot of people, especially in my generation and my age, they mistaken love for relationships. Love is very important in your life, but it doesn't just come from intimacy, and it doesn't just come from, you know, just having a partner. It comes from the people around you that you surround yourself. Who cares about you? Who is that shoulder that you cry on? It could be your best friend. It could be your parents, aunts, uncles. It can be anyone, but it's those people that root for you at your lowest times. That is love. That is love.
Hell yeah, brother.
You know, that is love. They may not be here, or they may be here, you know, but that love is just huge, and it'll help you survive in the hardest times in your life, you know. And a lot of people in this world, and especially in my generation, are lacking that, and there's just a lack of, you know, of acknowledgement of love, you know. And I just wish that there was more people that, you know, understood what true love actually means, you know, because love is support, love is hope, love is that hug that you need when you squeeze it tight, when you achieve something, when you lose something, you know. Love is always going to be there no matter what, and I just hope that everyone finds that and realizes that there's people out there that still are good, you know. There's just too much hate going around in the world.
It's terrible.
Absolutely.
It's terrible. And it's like, how did we get here? You know, like you mentioned, your generation is not doing well with seeing the good and the love.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
I think it's I think there's just a huge influx of envy.
Yeah.
Now that we have social media, now that we have the glorification of materialism, now that we have all this, you know, separation between politics, now we have a status, now we have egos, now we have a lot of just, you know, negativity that's being brought down to us because we wish we were at the beach, we wish we looked like a supermodel, we wish we had Gucci, Louis Vuitton, we wish we were like living like Drake, you know, we wish we were out with our family out in a different state, we wish. That's our problem, is that we wish, we don't make.
Fair.
Well, and also, like, there has to be a value of appreciating what you already do have as well. And I do want to make a differentiation here, and just my own personal definition on this love thing that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people can look at the love and be in love and all this stuff, like the Hallmark type shit, right? Like, this is ooey gooey hearts on the 14th on February and shit, that type of love. But it's actually the deeper love that I believe that you're speaking to is an internal, infinite, perpetual energy that is always in existence, that anyone can tap into, and it is this love. It's when you see like a squirrel out there crunching on a tree and it makes you smile. Like, there's a love for that other entity, that being. And so if you can really tap into having that infinite love to where, you know, even strangers, like, you can have love and respect for them, but it doesn't mean that you got to trust people, but you can still have like love in your heart and do things like that. That's what I feel like you were talking about there.
Absolutely.
It is like this deep love that doesn't come from a relationship. And as important as the peer group is, I totally agree with that. I would not have found my sobriety if it wasn't for my peer group and off opiates. Like, I would probably still be doing opiates to a certain extent if I didn't have my peer group. So I'm so thankful, but like, I had to still fight that battle within, you know? So there is this balance of like that self time that you were talking about. Some people want to disappear. Yeah, you got to go get your ducks in a row so then you know how to come back right and then be right with your team, because we can only get so far by ourselves, and we need that solo journey, that long, cold, hard road by ourselves to like solidify who we are. But then once you figure out who you are, you need to come back to the clan and like all your people and like let's get this together. Let me build a network that works for me, that helps push me forward.
Absolutely.
People that are running in my same direction. There was just a lot that you said there that I kind of wanted to put my 2 cents on it. I had to put my 2 cents on it.
Because that was couldn't have said any better, brother. Couldn't have said any better. And the keys to everything you said: inspiration, preparation, and dedication.
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
So
You know what I mean?
it sounds so simple.
It sounds so simple, but it's the hardest thing. It is a journey, but life's not easy.
No,
it's not.
Living's not easy, but we're here. What else can we do?
Yeah.
Are we just gonna sit there and do nothing, or are we just gonna take action for our own lives and live how we want to and be happy with what we have?
Yeah, I mean, the
a lot
ultimate
of layers
goal,
there.
right, is happiness, right? Is in a sense of enlightenment and happiness and joy. Like, I think that's what everybody ultimately. I think we all, generally speaking, have the same, goal in mind. But it's like, what are you going to do to get there?
Exactly.
Right? Because I hear more people complain about things than actually taking action, or trying to piggyback off somebody else's success, or looking for a handout, something like that. It's like, well, why don't you try to go make your own success here?
Yeah.
Go create your own opportunities. Like it's like Art said, it's a long, cold, hard road. This shit ain't gonna be handed to you on a golden platter, right? With anything.
and if it is, then you should be fucking suspicious.
Yes.
Yeah.
They be coming out here. It sounds so good. You're all like, nah, this shit's gonna fucking.
I had
It's gonna turn
when I
around.
went to Austin and South by Southwest, I had that mentality. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna go out there. Someone's gonna discover me. I'm gonna become famous. I'll tell you the truth, just for the authenticity.
Yeah.
I performed at I think it was 8 o'clock. Everyone was still in line to get into the venue.
Yeah.
I performed in front of nobody.
We've been there.
Yeah.
We've
done shit like that
and
too.
it was just empty. So the whole time I had my eyes closed because I wanted to cry. Because I was like, I just blew my chance. Like no one's gonna hear me and stuff like that, But it's not a matter of it's everything that you think is gonna happen and what you expect. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's how are you going to. It's your reaction that's the most important thing. If you go through this event, what are you gonna do to become better? And you're slowly gonna start seeing more support, or you're not. It's just a matter of how bad do you want this. It's like I said about my Houston trip. It wasn't any different. But you just got to keep trying, and I think that's one of the biggest things about as a creative, as an entrepreneur, as anybody, is in any career that you do, you have to try. You have to care. You have to respect. Not only the task at hand yourself, but it's exactly what you're doing. You just have to care. You have to try, because if you don't try, nothing gets done. How else are you going to do your bed? You got to try to make your bed. In order to make your bed. It's the simplest things.
So how I'll say it real quick is, moments where I didn't do what I wish I would have, I'll regret that, and then I've never regretted doing something and failing and knowing how it turned out. It's that mystery of like, oh, how would have this turned out if I would have done this?
Yeah.
Like, fuck that. And then also the expectation shit. Like I had to come to Jesus over the summer too, like where I was crushing in a lot of areas, and I had something come through, and like it really snuck up and hit my ego in a different way that I wasn't expecting. And there's the problem is I had an expectation. And so the only thing that I'll ever expect on moving forward is myself. Like I have expectations of how I'm going to handle the business and how I'm going to get it done. That's it. Yeah. Like I do expect Kevin to be here, but it's only because he earned that. He earned that trust, like through years and years and years. Like I expected you to arrive because you're kind of like our boy, bro. We scratch each other's backs, It's like,
of course,
that's how we get it in. So there is some expectations, but in that deep rooted, like expecting a scenario to play out a certain way, you're just going to set yourself up to be disappointed. You have to keep your mind open to let it play out, and sometimes it's going to be a shit show.
Yeah, don't expect, always discover.
Yep. I like that. Be proactive, not reactive. Don't expect handouts. Get out there and work.
Exactly. Yeah, like I can't stress enough how many times I was ignored, rejected, and made fun of and looked at funny and just disrespected trying to hand out flyers for the show in Austin. I can't stress enough how many times I was judged for trying to market myself on the street, you know, when everyone was doing it. I can't stress enough how many times I just try to make a connection with I'm not going to name big art, like the artists that I was able to meet, you know, just because I want to maintain respect and not burn any bridges. But then just throwing out a number for me to pay for in order for them to even get a listen, you know, and I was kind of disappointed, you know, but that's when I was able to learn, okay, that's when I realized maybe a lot of these opportunities that I'm getting, or the opportunities I think I'm getting, are just too good to be true. Until I can see until I start selling personally, to the point that it starts getting either out of control, or, you know, I'm starting to maintain a certain business, you know, where I'm able to sustain and able to maintain that foundation. And I get a person professional enough that talks to me in a suit, has a certain point in time, you know, has the right contracts, you know, someone with professionalism, someone that's just not just looking for the money, that actually hones down the statistics for me. That's when I'll believe it. You know, but even then, like, I'm not chasing to get a record deal right now. Like, right now, I'm discovering who DVNNY DEL REVL is, because I'm just Danny right now.
How old are you, man?
I'm 23.
23, okay.
23, so I'm not young. I'm young, but I'm not that young. Like, there's a lot that I need to cover in a short period of time in order for me to really discover, especially in this competitive music scene. Like, I have to work twice as hard, because the youth is coming up very hard, and there's going to be an end of an era very soon, whether that be in rap music or, because honestly, like, alternative and that post-punk and the indie scene is just coming up and sneaking up, you know, and because rap is sounding very repetitive, and I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for that. Because
it sounds super repetitive.
It's starting to sound very repetitive.
Yeah, people aren't doing different things, and they're all following a lot of the same. Yeah. And that's one thing that I actually really liked about your music, just quick side note, is you do some different shit. Every time. You don't always, and you said that on the last podcast, you're like, my music is not going to fit a specific mold, and I'm sure you get judged because of that. But you're full sending it. And so
you know what? It's crazy.
I love that.
Thank you, brother. Like, that means a lot to me that you noticed that. And I'll be very honest with you, brother. I haven't met anybody that has objected to that, my style of making music. In fact, I've actually gotten more praise, whether it's fake or authentic. I have yet to, and I don't want to knock on wood, but I know eventually I'm going to have to face that obstacle, but I haven't received as much hate as I thought I was going to. You know, I've had a lot of support, and I've had a lot of people compliment my versatility.
It's different. People they want to hear something that sounds a little unique, like, oh, I haven't heard it like that before. You know, and that's the thing, is, like, as an artist, as a podcast, any kind of creator, right? You don't want to replicate what somebody else has done.
Yeah.
You might want to take a couple notes, a couple key notes from what their success, but you need to do you.
Exactly.
And like how we're all individuals, if you're being authentic, then ain't no one gonna do it like you do it.
Exactly.
So you just gotta be authentic and be yourself, and stop playing a fucking character out here.
Yeah,
like and just be real. And like that is what I feel like sells. I mean,
and I'll be honest with you, brother, it doesn't sell. The most authentic artists that you'll ever meet, it took them years, almost decades, to be where they're at. What sells are quick people that can be taken advantage of by the industry, people that are desperate, people that are just desperate to see the six figures. You know, they're just desperate to see the money. That's what's really kind of dark about the stuff that's going on right now, because they're being targeted. Those people that are just desperate for that attention, desperate for that, to get out of their situation and their environment.
Get rich overnight.
They don't care if they sell their soul a little bit.
I mean, we see that in a lot of areas. You know, the TikTok stars and content creators in general are just looking for, like, oh, well, I tried this for a month. I didn't see any success. We're giving up. We're trying something different. Right?
Absolutely.
They want that quick hit.
Exactly. And for me, I think it's fast success builds ego, but a slow success builds character. And that's what I want. That's why I could never create a real a rap name or artist name or an alter ego, because, like, I just didn't know. I was like, I already have, like, real in my name, so I just might as well be me, Danny. You know, everyone's just been calling me Danny, because that's my name, you know, Danny. So DVNNY DEL REVL, like, I just wanted to be myself. That's like one of my motivations, to just stay being myself, you know, because it's very hard for me to separate my artist life with my personal life, because it just all feels combined into one. Like, there's really no separation. It's just me
It's just an expression of yourself.
It's just a way from, like, for me, it's just more of like a therapy to just be doing shows, going to studio sessions, coming to places like this, you know. It's just, I'm able to express what I'm doing, you know, balancing out my life, working still, but, you know, being able to record every single week and not missing a session, you know, like, just staying consistent with what I want to do. And that's just how I've been able to create those different types of songs that I make, you know, everything from reggaeton to alternative rock to some influences of rap, because I'm not going to say I'm a full-on rapper, you know, but or melodic songs, you know, like, it's just, I've been trying to really touch base because I get inspiration from almost anything, you know.
I want to be making some beats with like some fucking flutes and shit in there, like, you know, some like hella, I don't know, man. But so why is this shit? Because I'm not gonna mention which platform I'm not gonna mention which platform, but because of our authenticity, bro, like, there's throttling that happens. It's just crazy how speaking one's mind and being true to thyself actually isn't really like celebrated.
Doesn't fit the narrative.
Yeah. It's breaking the conditioning that we were talking about earlier, right? So you break this mold.
It's because everyone is afraid to see who they truly are.
That's what it is. They want to throw a cloak over it and wear, you know, a mask, so to speak, and you know, just everything, you know, overly painted scenarios and sugar-coated things. That's what it is. Give me, I don't want the bad stuff. Give me the sweet stuff.
Yep, exactly. It's like, especially here in America, like, there's just we're so bombarded with so much opportunity, so many resources and luxuries that it's just, people are like, I don't feel like it. They want the easy way, you know. They want, you know, like, the fastest way to grow abs. They want
That's true.
They want the fastest way to get a business and selling. You know, they want the best clothing brand. You know, they want the best. They want the best of everything, but they don't realize the sacrifices, the work, the dedication, the sleepless nights of staying up editing, staying up writing, staying up listening, staying up working or constructing in a garage. They don't understand the process it takes to actually get what you want, you know. For example, let's talk about a high school student trying to pass a test. The kid just wants to find, like, the answers. There's a kid that just wants to find the answers. There's a person that's already planning on looking over to the smart kids, but there's always that one kid that is stressing because he's staying up till 4 or 6 in the morning or until he has to go to school to just studying for weeks on end. It's just, how do you prepare yourself? Do you have a plan? Are you willing to stick with that plan? And what's your plan B, C, and D if any of those plans don't work? It's just, like I said, you just got to try. A lot of people just don't want to try. They don't want to put in that effort.
They want to try for like a week.
Exactly.
They want to try for like 2 weeks. And then,
The American psychology we talk about all the time. When New Year's rolls around, everyone goes to the gym for 2-3 weeks, wants to make changes. Usually doesn't happen. We ran a report on it. It was like once we got to June, only 9% of the population were still sticking to their New Year's resolutions. Right? I mean, again, people want that free ride. Give me the answers. I don't want to put in the work. You know, I deserve this. I just don't understand it. And it's not just the young people.
No.
It's not. I talk to a lot of people 20 years older than I am that have the same mentality. Oh, we shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah.
You know, the government, rich people should just share their money with me. It's like, why?
Yeah. It's crazy, you know, and I honestly, and I'm not afraid to admit, but I used to be that when I was young. I thought that it was the easiest way. I think all of us were, you know.
For sure. Yeah.
Like, it's a matter of, if you acknowledge that, okay, maybe I need to change, you're already halfway there.
Yeah.
Agreed.
You're already halfway there.
Recognizing your shortcomings.
Exactly.
Well, and it's just like you being authentic too about, you know, things not working out at South by Southwest and, like, you know, not how you expected, but, you know, you're going out there, you're still pursuing the opportunity, you're showing up. Like, I feel like that's the most important thing, and sticking to it even when it gets tough.
Yeah.
You still show up. You know, like, when stuff gets hard, you don't just quit.
No, you don't just quit. And you got to perform at South by Southwest, which is incredible.
Yeah.
Like,
Thank
you know,
you.
it wasn't the crowd you wanted, but that's still an incredible milestone and achievement.
Absolutely. And shout out to Miles because he made a huge sacrifice. It's not my business to talk about, but him and I went out there and we were stressing. It was just constant work back and forth. And one thing that I do want to mention is, and Miles can attest to this, is that, you know, I remember the night before my big show, the supposed big show that I performed in front of nobody, I was in the hotel room the whole night. I didn't get any rest, and I was just with my microphone because I brought in my own setup and stuff like that with my pedal and my microphone and stuff just to make sure that nothing goes wrong. You know, I was prepared. And then it was that, so I had that inspiration because I wanted to be there, preparation, I was preparing, and part of that preparation, the night before, I stood up all night just practicing and rehearsing. And it got to the point where I was like getting stressed, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to sound. So Miles was like, well, let's get into the car and you sing your fucking heart out and let's see how you sound and let's make sure you're on point and on key. You know, and though it wasn't what I expected into the crowd that I wanted, I never heard myself sing that way.
Yeah.
I've never heard myself hit those keys and have that same energy. Even though I only had like 10 or 7 minutes of a set time, it was everything I had. All the energy, with the bags under my eyes, when, you know, with only like the 4 pair of clothes that I brought, you know, it was everything that I built up and all this pressure on me, you know, leaving my family and being away from home in a place that I've never been to, you know. It was staying up and stressing and making sure I was the best no matter what, because I didn't know who was watching. And that's the one thing about it to anybody. It's like you'll have 100 shots at a target like 200 yards away, you know, and you're bound to hit the center. You know, you just got to keep shooting.
I agree. You just never know. All it takes is that one person to see you, hear it, relate with it, to create another opportunity. It's like what Eminem's song, "Lose Yourself," right? You take that opportunity and you run with it. And you show up and you perform. I mean, we've all performed in front of live audiences, and some of them have not been what we were expecting, right? Yeah. But you still go out there and you perform.
Absolutely. And I never expected it to be an A&R or a label person that discovers me or sees me. Like, what I mainly focus on is to discover the person that wishes that they were in my position, or they see that they want to be like that, you know. There's a lot of people in the audience members that, you know, especially young kids or, you know, older people that want to get into music, but they're just so scared because they don't know where to start, and they see you and they get inspired by you. And that's what's more important to me, is having a person relate to either my music or what I'm doing, because they either want to get into it, step into it, or they want to understand it a lot more, you know. And that's how I met a lot of my connections, was they come up to me like, dude, like, you inspired me. And in my head, I'm like, okay, how did I inspire this guy? And then they go ahead and explain it, you know. And that's how I'm able to differentiate a person that actually wants to learn from me from a person that just wants to leech from me, you know. And especially when I went out of state, you know, I met an amazing artist. She was awesome, from Los Angeles, and another one from Ohio that we just recently recorded a song, you know. And those connections are going to help me if I go into those states, you know. And that's the biggest thing too, is just, it's like that, what I said in the beginning, is that character. It's how you present yourself to other people, you know. And that's just what's been helping me a lot, like.
I mean, you got to build the network.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's a constant thing. And I agree, you got to take all the shots. So and this one's the challenge for y'all in TV land out there and shit, fucking, it's time to do this shit, all right? And I've said stuff like this before, and it's, you must do what feels right here. Only you know it feels right, and you know when you quit on your own dreams, and nothing is as disappointing as quitting on yourself. I've been there. I've quit on myself a bunch of fucking times. I was a pussy. Like, I was being a little bitch. And like, some of those opportunities I'll never get back. Like, that shit's gone, you know? And so that's just the way it is. So like, you'd rather live knowing that I would rather live knowing I fucked up than I didn't know, like what I was saying earlier, than I didn't know what would have played out if, you know. So that's the challenge for this week. And that's a big challenge. Anyone who really, really wants to ante up and fucking do something different, like, go after that.
Absolutely. You couldn't have said it any better. There's just, what's holding everyone back from pursuing what they want to do, what they want to chase, and from what they want to obtain, is themselves. You are your biggest enemy. You are the only one holding yourself down. Everyone else, because think about it, like, you go through a breakup. you got a person that talks crap about you. You got family telling you can't do this. You have a shitty boss that's telling you that you're not good enough at your job. And those are just verbal beings. Sure, it can affect your life in a way, but you can change that if you just pursue what you want to do and what you love. Let's come back a little bit into reality too. You do have to pay the bills. There's some things where you have to bite your tongue. There's some places where you have to take responsibility and action for yourself, but you also have to understand that you know your worth, So never doubt yourself. Never tell yourself that things aren't good enough, because you're supposed to make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. If everybody was perfect, there wouldn't be traffic outside. You have to understand that. And I'm gonna take my own advice in this one too, because I've been struggling with it too. But you have
let's
to
stay
be
humble.
patient.
Let's be honest with ourselves.
We have to be patient. I've been very impatient.
Okay.
I've been very impatient.
It's easy to do.
Because I've been seeing great results. I've been getting good feedback and stuff. And there's a lot of times where I just wanted to be that cocky asshole that just says, "Well, I did this. If it wasn't for me, this is that." I'm not even gonna mention any of that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna remain focused, remain calm, and just let myself, and you just have to let yourself just relax, take a deep breath, because if you're stiff, if you're shaky, if you're mad, angry, and not focused, and you have the crosshairs on the target, you don't take that deep breath and that exhale with that slow trigger pull, you're going to miss the shot. You're just going to kick back and it's just going to go straight up. You just got to make sure that you're hitting at least the target, and one day you're going to hit the bullseye. You just got to make sure that you just calm down and just take a deep breath. And I've been getting a lot better with my patience, having patience and understanding when things piss me off, or I get frustrated or stressed out, or I'm cutting short on stuff. It's all about taking that deep breath. I think that's the biggest thing. You just take the deep breath and just go head first into the dive.
Can we all do that together really quick?
Yeah, let's do it.
And
Let's
just
do
take
it.
a deep breath. Yeah.
Ready, zombie?
You
I'll
taking
take
a deep breath with us?
Yeah, let's
Okay.
get it. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, that
And
felt
you
good.
feel it in the fingertips, man.
Dude,
Yeah, it
I
works wonders.
be doing that shit on the
Yeah.
daily. Sometimes I be getting in my head a little
If someone
overwhelmed.
cuts you off on
Yeah,
I-25,
deep breath it.
Gotta deep breath it.
Yes.
never react in anger, because you'll make more mistakes that way.
Oh,
It's
so
true,
true.
man. I mean, look, you're talking to a guy that overcame anger, and I'm not somebody that age discriminates or anything like that, but I'm going to say for 23, I wish I had your mindset when I was 23, because I was an idiot. He can attest to it. I flipped out all the time. I was just constantly reacting to things, looking for fights, just not focusing on myself. I was always looking at others. I was mad at the world, right? And I looking back on that, it's like, what an idiot. I was an idiot. But I learned from it. And I got
Exactly.
through my anger management, and I've gotten it dialed. Breathing being one of them. That's a huge one, right? Counting to 10 sounds silly. There's no right way to go about it. Like everyone's like, oh, what'd you learn anger management? There's not just one cure. It's like goose fraba, it's over.
Yeah.
It's a mindset that we've really covered in this whole episode,
Yeah.
right? But I mean, I just have to say, testament to you, man.
Thank
I
you
like
so
where your
much,
mind's
Kevin.
at. You're going to be very successful. I already know
Thank
you already
you.
are successful.
Thank you, brother.
And
That means a lot to me. There's a lot of times, and I know you guys can relate to this, where it's just, it feels like you're not doing enough. But it's because we're thinking of the future and that dream that, that, oh my God, we're chilling with Joe Rogan, it's that major dream. But we're not gonna get there unless we appreciate what we have today and utilize the resources that we have today and the people that surround us.
So true, man.
We just have to. It's like you guys said, we got to be patient. It's like what we talked about. We got to be patient. We gotta be able to believe in ourselves, be honest with ourselves, see the reality of things, and maintain a level head. Having that balance and knowing your worth.
And we'll be tested along the way.
Absolutely.
They're out there. The people are lurking. They're going to get tested. The haters are going to be there. Some guy's going to cut me off. Things are going to happen.
Exactly. You're going to get in a car accident. You're going to see, you might get you might not be feeling well. The flu's going to hit you. Just all in general, life's going to hit you. Shit's going to hit the fan. It's just how are you going to react when shit hits the fan?
That's true. Life's a catalog of bad experiences that teach us great lessons.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Like if it wasn't for the bullshit that I went through in my life, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. I wouldn't have met all the people that I've met today. I wouldn't have been. Danny Del Real wouldn't be Danny Del Real. He'd still be Daniel, the cocky little kid playing soccer. he would have been a little shit, not taking any responsibility for anything, you know. And there's still some things that I need to work on myself always.
Yeah.
But, you know, the main thing that I'm proud of myself is that I haven't given up yet. Like, and I just sent a text message to my friends this morning, you know. I was like, guys, like, I've been in that mindset. It's like, I really want to quit. Like, it's just like,
I mean,
I'm
that's
at that
good,
point,
though.
you know, like.
That's good. Like, you should want to quit eventually. Like, if you're really chasing something, like,
when it gets hard,
you should question, do I even have the capability to do this shit? And, like, we've sat across the table from so many entrepreneurs. I didn't mean to cut you off here.
No, you're good.
But that's the one thing that they told Kevin and I consistently is they were back to the wall in the corner about to fucking quit.
50 grand in debt.
Yeah, and they didn't quit. They stayed in it and right beyond that. So it's like whenever we feel like quitting, we're like, oh, shit. We start getting hyped up. We're like, dude, you think about quitting right now? Like, I'm thinking about quitting. We're like, let's go.
Yeah, because like,
You know?
let's be honest, like for me in music, I haven't made a single dollar. And the dollars that I do, it goes back to my team. It goes back into the production. It goes back into the photography. It goes back into what's going to make things look good and make things organized for my music, the quality, the content, the consistency. That's what it funds, you know, and that's what people don't understand is that it's super duper expensive to follow your dreams. But if you love it enough, it doesn't matter. You know, you're just following what you love. Like, you got to be responsible, right? You got to pay the bills, you know, which is why we got our jobs, you know, but at the same time, it's that passion, it's that heart, it's that drive that's going to really get us to that place, you know. Like, there's been so many times that quitting has just been on my mind.
Yeah.
So many times.
That's the easy way. That's
Exactly.
Just hit that button and say the hell with it.
Exactly.
But you hit on something that is a part of our mission statement and a part of something that drives us, and that's the CQC. He literally said it verbatim. That's exactly what it is, the CQC, consistent quality content, right? Consistency, quality, that's investing in your equipment, you know, whatever content, whatever you're putting out, whatever you're creating, right? And then the consistency of constant delivering. I mean, whatever that looks like for people, doesn't have to be daily, doesn't have to be weekly, just you're doing something proactively to put out that content.
Exactly. And I've met a lot of people that have that mindset, you know, and I just wish they got more appreciation, and I just know one day that they are. You know, the way that our state is moving right now, you know, I think Colorado's the best state, you know, just because, and I'm not saying, like, I'm not going to go into, like, politics, economics, and stuff like that. I'm just talking about characters of what people
It's the
like.
best state.
You know,
Yeah,
you go,
it's the best state. I'll go. Well, I'm native, too.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So it's like you go to a Chipotle,
Yeah.
and someone holds the door open for you. Someone says thank you to you. No, I went out to Austin, hold the door open for a dude that, like, the trash bag ripped at Terry Black's. Dude gave me the weirdest look. Like, no one's ever done that in his life.
Like, no one's ever held
And he
the
kind of
door.
looked at me. He didn't even say thank you. He just looked at me like,
Like, why
what
are
the
you
hell?
holding the door?
Why are you holding the door for me? There's empathy here.
Yeah. Huh.
We have understanding here. We have people that can relate to the things that we went through in this state, you know, and it's a safe space for people to be creative without the judgment of a huge city. Because imagine going to New York when you have dudes doing backflips or crazy like arm breaking double jointed stuff, and you're trying to show music, like my music for example. I would get hated on by a Yankee fan, you know what I mean? I would get hated on by a Patriots fan, you know, like they're not afraid to speak with their mind, you know. But here there's a glimpse of understanding, a glimpse of hope for people to be creative without judgment. I think that's the biggest thing too, because there is haters, there is a lot of judgment and stuff like that. But when you talk to people and get to understand people one-on-one, face-to-face, there is that understanding, you know.
Yeah, I guess that's I haven't really thought about it that way, because I do a lot of traveling. I'm in a lot of cities. I network with a lot of people. I mean, I agree to your points with New York. I'm a New England guy, so I know what the Boston atmosphere looks like.
Patriots fan.
I'm a Patriots fan.
Yeah, I knew it,
You know, I am. And my
not talking about the
Patriots
season.
absolutely suck. That said, right, to your point, I haven't really thought about it that way. I mean, Denver is great, you know, not an overly saturated market for music, for podcasting, and so it kind of does have that creator vibe. I guess I haven't really applied that to a lot of the other cities. I'll be in Phoenix this weekend, so I'm going to test that market out a little bit. But yeah, that is kind of interesting to think about. You know, when it comes to the Colorado creative market and what that looks like. Like you said, you're always going to have the haters. You're going to have competition. You see a lot more of that, I feel like, on the music side. You know, people with
it gets clicky. My music's better than your music.
Yeah, and you see a lot more beef. I mean, there's podcast beef. There is. And some people want to see that, and that's all well and good. People love drama. Drama sells. right? And sometimes that does elevate this person or that person's social media presence and creates interest on what they're going to talk about on the next podcast or whatever. But for the most part, I don't like the drama.
Yeah.
No drama allowed.
Yeah, I never focused on drama. Like, there's a lot, and it's like you said, there's a lot of cliques. But I will say that it's very important, especially like with the scene that I'm in right now. It's very important to have. It depends. It's either you have a group of friends, or you have a group of friends, or if you have your team. I just call them my team.
Yeah.
Those are my brothers. They're not my friends. They're my brothers that are willing to have a session start at 10 a.m. and end at 3 a.m. and they're telling me, do it again. Do it again. I feel like Richie Valens and La Bamba a lot of the times because they're like, you can do better. We know you can do better. They're pushing you to that limit. Whereas the cliques just want the attention. They just want the party lifestyle. There's a person, like for me, I don't record with a huge group of people behind me. You know, I sometimes I have photographers, but it's not all the time. It's very rare.
Yeah.
You know, I'm one-on-one with my producer. If I have my best friend, my brother, shout out to Primo, you know, if I have those people with me, that's cool, but it's never more than 5. It's never more, unless it's like a listening party. But it's never more than just me and my producer. And which shout out to B-Boy again, and he can back me up on this. You know, I'm constantly just focused and wanting to just get that work in. You know, like I want to be able to leave a session with at least 2 songs done.
Yeah.
You know, just maintaining that consistency, even if they're shitty songs. Like I just want to be able to keep myself from that writer's block. You know, it's that I don't want to be in a clique. I want to be on a team that's willing to get to that next level because we want it. We want it bad. And, you know, that's why I'm a part of Exodus. You know, shout out to all the people on Exodus, on my team, you know, and our team, I'll say, you know, because those are the creatives that I'm surrounding myself with, and that we created a team of independent artists that have their own foundation, have their own audience, have their own genre and style of music, but we come together as one to inspire each other, help each other, understand each other, and build from each other, and you know, basically just be a team of bosses.
Yeah.
You know, because we don't, like, for example, there's Sergi, reggaeton king. You got my boy Angelo XD, which is a wizard on songwriting and also on production, amazing. We got B-Boy, the head honcho on that mass. He's the mastermind of the production and mastering and everything. And, you know, and then we got my boy Coop. We also have Fornico and my boy Mikey G. Mikey G, great with melodies and vocals, and he's one of those only dudes that I hear that can actually hit a high note as a man. Like, he hits those high notes comfortably. I saw him play a ukulele with the microphone at a show that gave out, and he just played his ukulele and sang his heart out, and the acoustics of that empty warehouse just made it seem so authentic and realistic. So kudos to him. Fornico is one of those artists that is just super versatile, melodic, and has that hint of girly R&B, but hits that edge and takes it to that next level that you would see in a rock band. You know, she has that style, that attitude of, I'm different, so what are you going to say about it? She's not the everyday female artist, like everything. No, she's at the leagues surpassing males. I'm just going to say it. She's at the league of surpassing artists that think they're the shit. No, she has that creative capability. You know what I mean? And that's the people that I'm surrounding myself with, are people that push themselves to get to that next level because they want it.
That's
they
awesome.
have the opportunity to be a rock star.
Well, it's going to make everybody stronger, too.
Exactly.
Doing that.
You got to surround yourself with people that are striving for more.
Exactly.
I used this analogy earlier, and I use it again. If you're standing around cows and you rub up against it long enough, you're going to smell like shit. So what you surround yourself with is kind of what you become and get motivated by, and it becomes a part of you, and you can each help each other out. Like, the circle is huge.
Exactly.
You know, and everybody has a different vision of what they want to do, but as long as everyone's being proactive and you're around that energy, it's tremendous.
Absolutely.
Like we said earlier, you know, Paul Roseberry's quote, a lot of people want to pull you to the ground.
Yeah.
Misery loves company.
And the most important thing that I will say is that not only is it that we're learning from each other, but it's the believing in each other.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is the support and the sacrifice that we make from each other. Because, you know, like, for example, B-Boy, the mastermind of it all, the boss of this plan. You know, he has sacrificed so much because he believes in us. He believes in us. And he pushes us to get to that next level. He'll tell us if we sound like shit.
Yeah.
He'll
good.
tell us if
He's real.
it doesn't sound good. He'll tell us the truth, only the truth, and he will praise us if we do something good. So when he gives us a compliment, it's because it means something, that you did something great, and that's what we need.
That's what you want.
Exactly. It's like having Andy Reid as a coach. You know what I mean? It's like Bill Belichick. You know, it's just having that coach that tells you when you're good and when you're not good. It's that wake-up call. It's that humbling experience, you know, and kudos to B-Boy. I love that man to death because he shaped me who I am today. He pushed me to that next level. He pushed me into creating beats with him. He pushed me into getting a guitar. He inspired me to find the confidence and to find out who really Danny Del Real can be.
Yeah. That's it. I mean, the whole studio, the whole squad that y'all have over there, obviously we've showed y'all a lot of love and are in the mix and stuff, and we just really want to see continued success out of everybody.
Absolutely.
And it's crazy how much everyone's grown just in the year that had passed or so. One thing on the Denver artists and all the different creators out here, what I would like to say to y'all is, because there's probably more than one group like yours, like where it's like this tight knit and everyone's getting each other. Let's all do our best to support the other groups out there, because I'm gonna steal this one from my man Kev over here. But a rising tide lifts all boats, and you know, if we're all putting Colorado on the map, and we're representing our group that, you know, we really get it down with, but then at the same time we're doing our best to network and build others up.
Absolutely.
Like when I was in the industry like 15 years ago, like no one was trying to build each other up back then.
Yeah, it's changed a lot.
I don't know how it is now as much. So that's my thing for the local artists is like let's you know, all support each other, and even if someone's making some noises that seem weird to you, like they're still out there doing it. They're still putting it on the line, just like you are. You're creating, and give people the freedom to create, and none of us are the judge. You know, just allow the fans and people like that to do it. So I had to put that in there.
Absolutely.
I know we've alluded to some things on this episode, but we asked you this question last time. We're gonna ask you again. I'm sure that some things have changed in your perspective. It sounds like it has. So, one piece of advice that you can give so everyone's better tomorrow, the whole world hears it. What's the one piece of advice going to be?
Dang. It was so easy to answer this at the last episode, but so much has changed. The safest thing to do, or to say basically, wow, I'm on the spot here. And it's just because we've been through so much. You know, things change. It's like I said, I had that expectation, but believe in yourself. Believe in what you planned and what you dream of and doing what you love. You know, you just got to stick to your word and not give up. And, you know, it's a hard question to answer, but it's because it's like there's so much that can change and so much that can happen in such a short period of time and so much that you can lose and so much that you can get disappointed for. But it's believing in yourself, in your craft, and in your team. Because when you look into the mirror, you don't want the audience and you don't want people to buy into a person that hates themselves. You want a person that, sure, they're human and make mistakes, but in order to be an inspiration for others, you have to inspire yourself first. You have to believe in yourself. You have to know your worth. And I'm not saying that, and it sounds like as a nonchalant cliche thing, but it's trusting your intuition. It's taking that first step and being put into uncomfortable situations, because comfort will kill your career faster than you can do anything else. Be in uncomfortable positions. Do things that you never thought you were going to be able to do. Try screeches. Try whatever you can, you know, because you don't know what you're going to discover. You know, it's like just walking the dark side of the moon. You're moving slow, but you're slowly starting to see different things and starting to learn different things. You know, you're going to come across a lot of people that are going to try to bring you down, whether that's family, friends, ex-girlfriends, ex-boyfriends, whatever. You're going to find yourself in a hole, and it's going to be up to you to either find the rocks that you can climb from or building something that'll get you out of that hole. Because if you just continue to listen to others others, if you continue to listen to what society wants you to be, if you keep envying what you see online, and because nothing online is real, you're going to put yourself in a miserable hole where you're going to regret everything in your life. And I don't want anybody to regret anything in their life. I want everyone to experience what it's like to chase the things that they love, because everyone is chasing what everybody else is chasing. The nights at the nightclubs, the drinks, the smoking weed, the alcohol, all the bullshit that you don't need in your life. I want everyone to focus on what they truly love. If whether it's dancing weirdly or whatever, just focus and believe in yourself and trust the process and have patience in your life. That's what I have to say. That is honestly what I have to say.
Powerful stuff for sure.
Thank
It's
you.
going to resonate well, I think, with the viewers and the listeners.
Thank you.
You know, the
Thank
authenticity piece definitely shines through. Man, I'm excited to see where you go next.
Thank you. And I'm excited to see where you guys go next. You never know. I'm pretty sure Joe Rogan might be in this spot. I'm going to be very honest with you. Or, you guys might be a guest somewhere, or it might even be bigger.
Yeah.
You just never know.
But well said on the advice to humanity.
Yep.
I usually like to come in, piggyback, say a couple things, but there's nothing else to be said there.
Yeah, I think he summed it up for
Yeah,
sure.
so I love that. I'm gonna replay that part later. Like that's one of those. Like I've had some people come in and they say some shit, and you're like, all right, I got to listen to that one again later, because there's a lot of depth to it. And for me personally, I am kind of dull. I like to be a little dull or admit that. And so like sometimes I need to look at things a couple times and really process
To
it.
absorb all the information.
Yeah, so-
and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and that's just admitting to things, and that's fine.
We've been admitting
But
a lot of things.
where can everyone check you out? And we're going to leave links for all that, of course.
Absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter, on Instagram Threads. You can find me on YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Music, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, pretty much on all streaming platforms. If you really want to see the movement, I'm very active on Instagram, and I highly recommend you guys to follow me on Instagram, because I do post a lot of content relating to my music, and I do primarily focus on the quality of my content and what I put out when it makes sense. So you're not going to be bombarded with a bunch of bullshit. It's just going to be me. It's going to be the true version of the person that I want to be, and that's what I just want to let everyone know that. So Instagram is the best way. At DVNNY DEL REVL, and it's going to be at DVNNY DEL REVL. There you go.
We'll get you.
Yeah,
we will.
absolutely.
Yeah, we got you.
And all the viewers and listeners, just scroll down. It'll be down in the show notes below. We'll make it real easy for you to get in touch with DVNNY DEL REVL. He's been in the wheelhouse now for almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years.
And there ain't no getting out of the wheelhouse. So you're going to
No.
be repeat guests again. We're going to come to one of your shows, of course, and we're going to continue to do some fun things. Let's do some networking events. Let's get a live show going maybe in the
Absolutely.
future. Let's keep this train rolling.
Absolutely. Hey, maybe next time it'll be at the Fillmore. You never know.
I like
Let's
that.
manifest it.
Yeah, I like
Next
the
time you
Fillmore.
guys see me at the show, it'll be at the Fillmore.
Yes.
I like it. I'll be
All right.
there.
We'll see.
Hell yeah,
We'll
brother, man.
see.
Big things popping, little things stopping. Everybody out there, believe and achieve.
Believe and achieve. I love that.
Be good to yourselves.
Let's say it on 3. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Believe and achieve. There you go.
Let's go. Yes. And Kev, close this motherfucker out.
Let's raise a drink to this.
Yes.
Like I said, everyone's got to be good to themselves.
Salud.
Salute.
You deserve it. We'll
Thank
see you
you.
soon.
See you soon. Oh man, great conversation, fella.